Live in living color.
It's like
Ah,
I
baby.
know.
Oh, now I'm
As I,
cleaning
as
my
I
glasses.
wipe my schnozola,
You're wiping
I,
your
s-
nose. I'm
I
cleaning my
say
glasses, and
I
we're
say good
going live.
morning. That's New York Vinnie. He's in Seattle, Washington. Good morning, New York Vinnie.
Good morning, Michael Knight, who's down in beautiful Pasadena, California, and where the sun is shining, the birds are chirping, where I believe the same thing is happening up here. Not a cloud in the sky, Michael. It is blue, baby, blue.
Well, we have just the opposite here. We have Bellevue weather, as a matter of fact. We imported some Bellevue weather, and it's acclimating now and looking for an apartment.
Well,
Oh,
it's what's the situation on getting an apartment down there? Can you get one if I came down and wanted to live in Pasadena, California?
yeah, you would get one.
You could get one, huh? Would it be
Yes,
less than 5,000 a month?
yes.
Sometimes I toss the idea around of finishing it out in California. You
Well,
know, I
you're
mean,
always
so many people leaving that it would seem like it'd be a good idea to go there. You could get something cheap,
you
take
might
over
you,
somebody's lease or something.
well, yeah, because the power structure is changing. As you know, the writer's strike is now in its second week, so things are changing in terms of the media, and it's changing for the right reason and going in the right direction. I think the studios have to figure out that putting people in seats in theaters is not the future of this business. It's a part of it. It's an element of it. It'll always be there, I suppose. But maybe not. We have to find a more personal delivery system to the home that is beneficial to the studios. And what's the point of making $180 million film about talking raccoons that rescue the world? You think that they would, with some budgets, have good writing, excellent scripts, strong casts, and a mandate from the front office to, on one picture at least, do no special effects. Don't blow anything up. Don't have any chases. Don't go to Mars. Tell a story that people want to see. Rocky was simple. Casablanca was simple.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I think people are more complicated than that now, aren't they? I mean, they
well,
want
look at the
first of
headlines.
all, they
See
don't
what
want
they
to go out of
want.
the house.
They want love. They want happiness. They want satisfaction. They want something for. They want their lives to please them and to mean something and to be worthy. And those stories about people who chase it and catch it, chase it and miss it, it's a worthy story
I
without the
think,
explosions and the chases.
but yeah, but now how does that affect? I mean, the writers want to be paid for the streaming services, right? I mean, that's their main.
And the creative process that leads to these limited run shows.
Right, right. They want to be compensated for that, and I agree with them. I mean, I think you should get paid um, for your work. Listen, it is hard when you see a studio executive making 50 million a year or whatever it is,
For saying
and
no.
you're struggling, as a writer, and to eke out a living because you have to, it, you have to do the work of a whole season and put it into 6 shows. I don't think the writing becomes less because they run it as a mini series. As a matter of fact, I think in some cases it becomes more. You want to be rightly compensated for that. And I don't think that that's wrong at all, especially
And
when
you
you look at
and
the obscene amounts of money that the studio heads and the people that are in these positions where they do nothing really, except say, okay, that one goes, that one doesn't go. I mean, let's face it, these days they don't even have the casting couch anymore. I mean,
no,
what are they doing with their afternoons?
they pick up golf, working on their short game. That would be something I suggest. Or if you're young and need more energy, work on your backhand. Get some sun. Get out there. Don't bother us in the studio. And there has been, Vinny, and you know this traditional dividing line between the writers and the producers, because the producers come to the ugly realization that they can't shoot a page of film unless they have a page. Somebody has to write it. Somebody has to sequence it. Somebody has to put it together. Someone has to create the action. Someone has to create the line of action. Someone has to give life to all the characters. Someone has to do that, and it has to be written, or you can't shoot it. And that's why the producers are their Hall of Fame is to shoot a movie having never read the script. Tell me about it in the elevator. That's
Yeah.
that's their fun thing to do. But the idea
Yeah.
of shooting a script and financing a script and producing a script that you've never read is a reality. And the conflict between the producers who can't read or won't read and the writers who do all the construction of the characters and action is a long time brewing in Hollywood. And it's now more distinct than ever that the writers have their own guild. They knew that they were never going to get representation being in AFTRA, being in Screen Actors Guild. It was never going to be the same. Yes, we make the movie with you, but you're the guy that jumps on the horse, and I'm the guy who wrote Biff Jiggerman gets out of his car and jumps on the horse. He rides west into the sunset. Otherwise, you don't have that scene, and you don't have the breakaway, and you don't even know what B-roll to shoot around it to make it work. And so they're hand in glove, but they are not love mates. They're workmates, and they come together and agree to finance these things in a certain way reluctantly, and they always have done it reluctantly.
Well, I just think that when you have so much money out there,
Yeah.
when there is, I mean, when this pool of money is so much that the writers need to be compensated. The actors need to be compensated. I think extras in a movie should get more money. I think it's not right that somebody that runs a studio should get 50 million a year, and they ask extras to work for $25 a day, and maybe they feed them.
Maybe, no
Maybe,
guarantees. Yeah, they're
maybe,
coming,
no
they're
guarantee.
late. We
Or
have a problem with the food.
you go to the tuna sandwich side of the of the craft services, while everybody eats at the. Luckily, the few movies that I've done as an extra, all of the movies we've been able to eat with it was all one big communal
Right.
eating. That's how I got to sit down and have lunch with Diane Keaton one day. But oh, you want to talk about somebody who was jazzed? I mean, I had lunch with Kay Corleone. I mean.
Did she tell you that it's got to stop? This Italian thing has got to stop?
She was a very, very nice lady. She was a charmer. She was, and I knew that because my daughter had met her at Disneyland 15 years ago or something like
Wow.
that, and told me that she ran into her and she recognized her, and Diane Keaton talked to her for a couple of minutes, even though she was with her family and everything. I guess they were waiting on the same line or something.
Yeah.
And which kind of shocked me that it gave me immediate love for her that she was waiting online in Disneyland. She didn't do a VIP kind of, thing like that when she probably could have.
She shot one of her famous scenes in The Godfather in Marin County.
Yes.
Michael is looking for her, and he's got the black hat and the black coat. He's
Yeah.
assumed the Godfather role. He finds Kay teaching school at Ross School in Marin County. And
Yes.
they walk down Shady Lane as he tries to convince her that their love is as it always has been, and come live with me, Kate. Come, let's
I
start
need you,
again.
Kay. I need you.
Shot right there in the middle of lovely, marvelous Marin County.
You gotta love Francis Ford Coppola, man.
Where would Kay be teaching school except at Ross Elementary, of
Well,
course.
yeah. Although it was supposed to be, I guess, somewhere in New England or something like that,
Yeah,
because she was like that kind of blue blood,
sure.
New England kind of stuff. But
Well, she was, but she fell in with a powerful crowd.
she found the lure of power and money to be more than she could walk away from.
And she had beautiful children. What happened to those poor kids? Has ever been a story
Well,
penciled in about
Mary
what
got
happened?
shot and killed in front of the opera house in Italy, and Anthony was an opera singer.
No.
Did you see Godfather 3?
No, I heard
All
bad
right.
things about it and never saw it.
Then you would know. You got to watch Godfather 3. I just blew it for you in some ways, but
No, not really.
it's still worth seeing. But yeah, they figure prominently in the whole plot of
Wow.
Godfather 3. As a matter of fact, what is it? Is it she there's three people that appear in Godfather 1, Godfather 2, and Godfather 3, and his daughter Sophia is one of them.
Because she was a baby.
Because she's the baby in Godfather 1. she's she's Carlo and Connie's baby. And who's the other one that appears in 1 and then 3 is Sonny's girlfriend, the one that he was
Banging upstairs.
banging upstairs, and she's back in 3 because she's Vincent Mancini's mother, and
Wow.
Vincent, played by Andy Garcia, comes to meet Michael and to claim his family lineage, I guess.
I'm here to say hello to you.
I'm here to say hello, and do you have a job for me?
Something I can do for you, Godfather.
And Vincent serves Michael well. I don't know if he serves him well, but he certainly serves him. Let's just say he serves him. Yeah, you should even just to end the story. And there's supposed to be a Godfather 4, and then they decided,
What are we doing here?
yeah, to not do it. But they were, it's funny because the 3, I think, everybody talks about how bad Sofia Coppola was in that movie. And what that movie really suffers from, I think, more than anything else, is not having Robert Duvall back.
Ah, yeah.
George Hamilton was not, he was a lightweight.
He's not a wartime
Duvall.
consigliere.
Just like in number 2, they couldn't bring Richard Castellano back. Now, the actor they got to take that part, they changed it a little bit, but he actually did a great job. As a matter of fact, a lot of people, think that his portrayal in that movie, the actor was Vincent Gazzo, I think, was better than Clemenza's. The Castellano portrayal of Clemenza in 1, because he brought a different dimension to the character. The character was the same; they just had to kill Clemenza off because Castellano wanted too much money and he wanted his own writer.
His own. Oh, he would. I get to say something here, right?
Yeah,
you can't have your own writer.
His own writer. And I think at that point Francis said, "Listen, we can show you, just like the mafia. We can show you how easily you can be replaced."
The funny thing is, of all the things you would ask for, your own writer implies that, hey, Richard, you're not in this scene. I know I'm not in the scene. I just want to say something. Give me something to say in this. Like, call me, and I'll call you back. And it could be on the phone. And come on, I want to say something in this scene.
Yeah,
no, that's not how we.
I don't know what he was thinking, because I don't think his career ever did any better than that. His career his greatness would have been cemented with a reprise of the Clemenza role.
Yep.
But sometimes people are stupid.
Now, the character of Clemenza appears with more than one actor because of the
right. Bruno Kirby is Clemenza.
He's pretty good.
It's the early Clemenza, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Bruno
with the carpet cleaning service.
Yes. He plays that part perfectly. It's a great part, and it's and between Bruno Kirby and Richard Castellano, they both play that part perfectly.
And it shows you how important Clemenza was to the Godfather's life from the very beginnings, from the early rudimentary beginnings. Clemenza was in charge. He was the boss.
Well, Clemenza was the guy that really got Vito kind of seeing the other side of life.
The busyness.
The business. When he comes to him in the apartment, he says, "Hide the guns." That's Clemenza who comes in. And he says,
Right.
"Hide these for me. Don't ask no questions. Hey, I don't know what I don't know. I don't see. And then he hides the guns for him.
Now they're pals.
And now they're pals. And now Clemenza shows him, well, this is how you really between that and also the whole thing with the Don, the old Don,
Mm-hmm.
with the white suit,
With the wet beak.
yeah, with the wet beak. I mean that kind of seals the fate there.
The
But
guy who notices the lights out in the hallway.
right,
Well,
right, right.
turn around, Bubba.
Don Cheecher there, you get boom, see ya. We won't have to worry about you anymore.
It's funny. I never knew you liked The Godfather, Vinny.
Really?
That we were to discuss it like this is very nice. I had no idea.
Yeah, well, most people think American Graffiti is my favorite movie, but
And another one filmed in part in Marin County.
now, yes, now, what did you think? We're speaking about the writer's strike, and then the Academy, of course, yesterday made news, or the other day, coming out with the new politically correct rules, and it seems like Richard Dreyfuss kind of went off on it.
I didn't hear that. What did he
Yeah,
say?
yeah. Dreyfuss said that it made him want to vomit.
Well, certain things in Hollywood can catch you off guard.
It'd make you want to vomit. Yes,
You toss your lunch that you just paid a fortune for right onto your shoes.
right, and right in the middle of I don't know what the hip restaurant is these days in Hollywood, but you're not supposed to puke on the floor of it.
Nobody wants to eat with anybody anymore. They just wear masks and order out.
Yeah, you know what? I it wouldn't surprise me. Well, and then going back to the writer's strike, I think that's one of the things that they're really dealing with is the studios are trying to figure out. I mean, yeah, sure, we'll pay you a ton of money to for movie for what you do in the movies, but we're going to retain the streaming, and people aren't going out to the movies as much anymore.
Mm-mm.
People are people are afraid to go to shopping malls.
I wonder why.
They're afraid to walk out of their houses at night.
The trip to the mall, to the what's the word I'm trying to think of? The outlet mall.
Outlet mall, yeah.
That makes it somehow like a low cash. It's like the shirts are on sale at Van Heusen, but we're having a shooting this afternoon at 2. So come early, become part of the sale, enjoy your opportunity. Yes, we have shirts in your size, but by 2:00, the parking lot is going to be busy.
Well, yeah, I don't know why people. I mean, at one time, if you've ever been to one of those outlet malls, they're not really outlet malls. They're the outlet malls are places where they would sell seconds and stuff like that. Those were outlets. These are nothing but retail stores
saying they're an outlet mall.
Saying they're an outlet so that you think you're paying less money. But if you go and you compare your prices, I mean, now you can do it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because you just take your cell phone, you go in and you say, okay, Black & Decker drill. Tum, 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 tum. Okay, well, I can buy it at Amazon for $10 less than it is here at the outlet mall.
Yeah. And that's a fact. That is a fact. The old outlets, there used to be a great outlet mall near Calistoga, California, for Brooks Brothers. And it was fabulous because you could get all the good stuff from Brooks Brothers, but it was really an outlet. These were seconds. These were discontinued items. I have a shirt that I bought there before Kristen and I got married, which is now 40 years ago. And I still have that shirt. And it's not... It wears like iron. It was one of these Brooks Brothers dress shirts that was just an iron. I mean, you cannot destroy it.
Well, when I was younger, when we were kids, not kids, but 18, 19, 20, if you took a ride to Pennsylvania, because a lot of the factories that used to be in New York had moved out to Pennsylvania because land was cheap, you get more land and everything. And most of those factories always had a factory store.
Yes.
And that was where you got the bargains. That was where you would, you'd pull up and you'd go in and there'd be, well, they made too many of these, or there was one green button here and one red button here. So, you know,
Merry Christmas.
there were shirts like that, or pants that they were overstocked, or maybe they were seconds. They weren't perfect enough for them to ship them to Macy's. So they sold them at the factory store. And you could get some deep discounts. But I guess what the mall companies figured out, Simon and those companies, I forget what the other, there's another one that owns all of these outlet malls. Um, but is that people went for that outlet or that factory store
They never compared the
concept,
price.
and
They
they
never
thought they were
realized what they
getting a
were
bargain,
paying.
and they really
Yeah.
weren't getting any bargain.
No, they were getting nothing. They were paying the going rate for a shirt with the glee that comes along with thinking you're getting a bargain that ultimately
Right.
you're not getting.
Or you were buying crap that they couldn't. Matter of fact, I think that places like Saks, Off Fifth, of those type of stores would buy stuff from cheaper stores like
Mhm.
Marshalls or
Yeah.
something, and put it in their store
With their
and
price.
mark it up
Yeah,
where you would pay
exactly.
more for it than you would have at Marshalls, but less than you would have at Saks. And you think you're getting, again, you think you're getting a deal, and there's nothing for nothing in this world.
Which is why I bring up my next item, which has nothing to do with writers or Hollywood or anything we've been talking about, including The Godfather. It has to do with the great game of baseball and something that is known in the industry as a rookie prospect. A kid
Yes.
that comes along, and maybe you've heard of him, maybe you haven't heard of him. He's been playing in Double A, he's been playing in Triple A, and then one day the Mets or the Giants or whoever it is decide to bring up the kid.
Yep.
And the Giants did this with a guy named Casey Schmidt. Casey Schmidt, you know that name. He's the new third baseman. They brought him in, gave him a shot at third base. What do you think he did in his first game?
I probably hit like 3 home runs or something.
He hit one, but to center field, 399, going away up to Triples Alley. And I bring that up because Will Clark, when he came to the Giants, when he got called up that fateful day, hit a home run in his first game. Brandon Crawford, the kid that was going to play shortstop for 35 years, came up, took the spot at shortstop, never gave it back, and hit a home run in his first game. Now, there's a whole list of them. I don't know. Willie Mays did not hit a home run in his first game, but a lot of guys who played for the Pirates and the Mets and the Yankees and the Kansas
Yeah.
City Royals will tell you they brought up the kid, and in his first game, he showed why they had faith in him. He showed why he wasn't going back to AAA. He had just won the job at shortstop or third base. And those are exciting, remarkable times where a door opens and a kid walks in named Casey Schmidt, and he's part of your team for 10 years.
Right. And for every one of those, there's probably three that came up and hit a home run in their first game, and 2 months later were never heard of again.
Well,
Uh, I,
there's the Bo Belinsky story, right?
I present to you Shane Monahan, who came up and hit 400 for a week and got a couple of crucial hits, and he was, the talk of the town and everybody, the Shane Monahan fan club and everything like that. And he got lucky. He got it 2 weeks in the majors where he hit the ball and people were talking about him, and then you
Similar
know,
story with Yasiel Puig when he was brought up with the Dodgers, was hitting like 600 in his first 10 days. They could not cool him off. Every time he came up, there was a long ball involved. And then gradually he became knowable. And then gradually he became a 200 hitter. And then not so gradually, he lost his mind. And
right,
I
right.
don't know where he is now, but
Well,
he
he had also like a serious, I don't know if it was an attitude problem or something.
well, he escaped from Cuba
Yeah, well, but that's, yeah,
the hard way.
yeah. He just seemed to. I know that several teams took a shot at him, and when you show that kind of talent, show that you can do that, teams will take a chance on you. But
Sure they
it
will.
didn't seem like anybody
Nobody
uh,
could calm him down.
could manage him. Could keep him. It's that great story in baseball. But every once in a while, like you say, that player comes along, and the Cal Ripkins of
Yeah.
the world, they put him in, and they play 3,000 games, or they play, and not everybody's going to play 3,000 games, but they play 5 years, 10 years at that spot. Derek Jeter was
Yeah.
another guy that brought up. They put him in, and he was there for 20 years. Don Mattingly, another guy that brought up.
Donnie Baseball.
Johnny Baseball. They brought him up. They stuck him there, and he had quite a successful career on a club that was not successful for a long time.
No. And imagine the hard to please fan of the Yankees in the Bronx calling you Donnie Baseball, giving you a name like that, chanting for you every time you go out to take the field. It's an honor that only baseball can bestow.
Well, they
And
recognize talent. I mean, it's funny because as bad as you want to say that those idiots in the bleachers creatures are,
yeah,
they do recognize talent. They do. They can look at somebody and go, this guy
he's got it.
knows what he's doing, or he knows what he is. It's
He knows his onions.
he hustles. He does this, does that. There's guys that those bleacher creatures have yelled their name out for years. Paul O'Neill was another guy that
Yeah,
they loved him.
they
I mean,
loved
they
him.
just absolutely loved him. He loved them back. It was just that kind of relationship with those guys.
Well, he came to work. He came to work. He was
Yeah,
a
yeah, they
dependable guy.
came to work, they came to play, and they were proud to be Yankees. I mean, they were, it was, there's a certain pride that goes with being a Yankee, a certain, it's funny because it doesn't seem to me like that pride has carried over into the new Yankee Stadium. They really upset a karma
Yeah.
when they moved across. The Yankees, you could say, had the best home field advantage of any team in any sport.
The most intimidating facade of all baseball.
Right.
It
You
was a
walk into
cathedral.
Yankee Stadium, and you remember walking into Yankee Stadium, and you're not even a player, and you're looking around going, whoa. There's the monuments out there, and here's the same home plate that Babe Ruth stood at. And,
And Yogi
you're
Berra
looking at
for
the
that.
stands,
That's the same one all the great pitchers pitched across. It's the same one that
right,
all the runs were scored. And
right.
that fence is the one that Ruth hit over. And Ruth played right there. He stood right there and played the outfield.
I never met a player who said, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Oh no.
At the end of the day, it's just another ballpark. It wasn't just
No.
another ballpark.
No, it was
But
not.
when they moved across the street to the new Yankee Stadium,
Then it was a ballpark that anybody could play
then
in.
it became just another ballpark. It's not the old Yankee Stadium. It's not the ghosts in there, the spirits. That's why I thought they should have left that one up, and they should have built, did again what they did back in the 70s, left the shell up
Right.
and built around it. They could have done something like that. And they would have retained, I think, one of the most important things that they had was the
'Cause
intimidation factor of
yeah.
Yankee Stadium.
And if you have a cathedral and you tear it down, you've done it. You can't just build another one and say, "There you go, good as new." No.
Yeah.
No,
I
it's not.
mean, they tried to make it look like the old Yankee Stadium, but it's not on the same ground. It's a different place.
When you and I were there
They might have well built it in Manhattan, built it on the west side.
I only got on the field once. I was with you. I stood at home plate in the right-hand batter's box and tried to imagine what it was like. And the funny thing was, at Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium, when you stood at home plate, you can see the curvature of the earth.
Yeah.
You can't see the bottom of the outfield fence because there's a curve, there's a dome to the field, And so that gives you the feeling when you're at home plate that you got your right foot in the bucket already. You're in the hole, and Whitey Ford is laughing his ass off because he said, how can you strike somebody out with one pitch? I think I can do it with this guy. It just was a realization that you had to put all that out of your mind, or you didn't have a chance. You didn't have a chance to dribble one to third with the physical visual advantage that that stadium had over the batter, especially the first time up.
Well, it was the realization that that you were standing in a place that was sacred to sports.
Yeah.
You were standing in a place where not only had the Yankees done what they had done, but the Giants had done what they had done. Um, Max Schmeling had come in there, and with Joe, I mean, the fights,
Yeah.
the football games.
New York
Geez, even
Giants.
the Jehovah Witnesses used to meet there every year.
But they would knock first.
They would knock first. But I remember when I was a kid, you'd be driving by Yankee Stadium on some Sunday and Saturday, something the place would be full, and there was no ball game. Your dad would go, oh, it's the Jehovah Witnesses, and they would fill the place up. I mean, the place had um, um, uh, just such a spirituality about it.
Billy Graham, the Pope.
Billy Graham, the Pope. I mean, all of these different events that happen there, and now you tear that down and you lose all of that. I mean, yeah, you could say, well, that's where Yankee Stadium used to be, but it's not the same place. It's not where all of those incredible events
It's not
happen,
where.
and your father didn't take you there
Yeah.
when you were a little kid and hold you by the hand and sit you in the seat and show you explain to you about baseball and all that stuff. That's why the polo grounds to me, it always was so important, because that's where my father took me to explain to me about baseball and how it was different than everything else.
Yeah.
Even though at that time he hated baseball because they ripped the Dodgers and the Giants out of New York. But he
And they
still
broke his heart.
knew he had
They,
to.
they broke his heart and a lot of hearts along with him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And but he still realized that he had to explain, and he had to take his kid to see. He would never take me to see the Yankees, but as soon as the Mets were up and moving and playing, you know,
Let's go.
first Saturday he had off, man, we went up to the Polo Grounds, and I never, again, he knew me well enough to know that that was it for me, man. At 8 years old or whatever I was, let's see, 62, I was, 8 years old.
How many seasons did they play at the Polo Grounds?
2. They played 62 and 63. And then Shea Stadium. Matter of fact, he even took me to Shea Stadium before it opened. I had an uncle that worked on Shea Stadium, and he got my uncle to get me into Shea Stadium to get us in. So we went on a Sunday afternoon, and a few days before they opened in '64, and walked into Shea Stadium. There's still nails on the ground and lumber all over the place and everything. They were just laying the sod down, but it was really cool to go there. And again, the same thing happened. It's like you fall in love with the ballpark as well as the team. Your first time at Candlestick, you probably spun your head around. First time at Seal Stadium.
Seal Stadium was really my introduction to professional baseball. You were so close to the players then, and Orlando Cepeda came up in my first year. It was just remarkable to see him play as a kid, because we always had boxes on the first base side. So right there watching Orlando was just a thrill. He seemed so strong. He seemed the limitless possibilities of how can this guy not hit a home run every time up? He's got that high bat.
Yeah, I mean, the players look so big, and so imposing. And even
Yeah.
even the ones that weren't big, even the Buddy Harrelsons and the Al Weisses and Bobby Files of the world,
Yeah.
still looked big.
Jimmy Davenport wasn't that big, but he was big.
Yeah, but they still looked that uniform. It made you understand why Superman wore a uniform. Why he just didn't fly around in a suit, in a a double-breasted suit because it
Can you
made.
can you do the hat, glasses, and tie thing all at once? Grab the glasses, take the hat, and do the tie.
Oh yeah,
There you go. Yeah.
but there's a certain way you have to.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
got
you,
to mean it.
you don't just take them like this.
You got to whip them off because you
You
don't
got to
really
whip
need
them
them.
off, man, and you got to do it while you're running into the alley.
Or into the broom closet or wherever he's going to this time.
So, Mikey, I got to
Yes.
ask you a question.
Okay.
What are you feeling? What are you thinking about CNN tonight putting Trump on?
I think it's wonderful. It's just a gift of timing that they couldn't have come up with on their own. It's a gift of timing because he's going to act like a damn fool in front of everybody and just further erode his public persona, his strength, his character. All those things are going to come into question. He's got no policy. He's got no promises to make. He's got no bills that must be passed. He doesn't have anything to say in terms of, all he's got to say is it's one of the greatest witch hunts of all time. I don't know this person. I never met her. I have no idea who she is. And I can say the same thing about Mike Pence. I never met him. I have no idea who he is.
He used to show up at the office and we'd let him in because we felt sorry for him.
We'd let him in or we wouldn't let him in, depending on how it was. But I couldn't pick him out of a crowd. I don't know who he is. We never talked to him.
It's interesting because I've changed my mind on this. I was up until yesterday really kind of pissed off at CNN. Why are you giving this guy the air? Why are you giving this guy the space? Why are you giving him the, But I thought I've been thinking about it, and especially since yesterday, since the conviction or the finding. I don't know if it's a conviction, but a finding of the jury in the New York case, that maybe it's a good thing. Maybe he, like you say, he goes on there, he acts the fool. I mean, Caitlin Collins can handle herself.
The funny thing about this appearance, if he had lawyers representing him in the deal making with CNN, they would have said, nope, he's not coming on. He's not talking. He's got nothing to say.
Yeah, any smart person
Would say,
would
nope.
say, you know what? It's 2 years before the election. We don't know. I'm in the lead. I'm ahead of my nearest competitor by double.
But he can't say no to the glamour of it all because he's
Let
a
me
star.
just shut up. And when you're ahead, don't look back, right?
Right.
Because you'll see that they're gaining on you. But the only thing he has tonight, really, I think, is a chance to make himself look stupid.
He's got a chance to make it much worse, and he could make it very, very worse because everything he says tonight can be used in a court of law against him. And he's facing courts of law all over the place that are right there. Everything he says is going to be used against him in a court of law. Can you imagine that? Mr. President, it's nice for you to join us tonight. Your campaign is underway. I just want you to know that anything you do say can be used and will be used against you in a court of law. Now, let's get down to basics.
Let's get down to it. Yeah, it's I think that, and I think it's important for people who, I think by the time 2024 rolls around, if my thinking is right, and a lot of times it is, that this country will be in worse shape than it is today.
Possibly.
I don't know that Joe Biden is going to carry us out of this and into, the promised land.
Well, you're not being carried anywhere by Joe Biden. You're being prevented from evolving by the Republican Party, who have the voting majority. There's nothing you can say about it except that regardless of what their mental capacity is, and it seems to be very strange, if not violent, if not chaotic, they've got the votes. And one of them is George Santos. So they're going to have one less vote because George has met his maker. I don't know who
Well,
made him, but
he's met his handcuffs, that's for sure. he's certainly wearing some jewelry that he probably didn't expect to be wearing.
George, you got anything planned for today? No. Fine. You're in custody. Please come with me.
Is there anything that says more about America today than George Santos?
Only if he were armed. If he had an AR-15, his image as a reflective of the American nature right now, the American character, the American conundrum, the both sides of the. If you're French and you look at America, do you see Donald Trump, or do you see someone who represents sort of like a middle class American value, who's innocent, has no gun at home, is working to keep his family in shape, is contributing to the American dream in the most obvious ways that we all can appreciate? What do you see in America? Do you see the killers, or do you see just the innocence and the victims and the freedom?
Boy, if you're outside, it's a good question. I mean, if you're in America, you see a country that is really in a bit of a mess. You know,
Dangerously off track.
Yeah, a country that is afraid, a country that is afraid to say anything, afraid to talk, afraid to the comics are afraid to make people laugh.
And the politicians are afraid. The politicians are afraid to take a
are afraid
stance.
to make any moves to make things better. I think you have a country here that is looking desperately for a leader, for somebody to come in and straighten the mess out.
Well, look at the people who, in response to everything that you just talked about, have come up with the idea that God has sent Donald Trump here to be our savior.
But you see,
now,
that's
but Vinnie, but I'm not making that up.
I know. But that's a cult. You see, that's what people don't want to admit, is that the Donald Trump thing is a cult. It's the same thing as Jim Jones. It's the same thing as
the Branch Davidians.
The Branch Davidians. It's the same thing as the people who the spaceship guy, who they all thought that they were going to take off in a spaceship. It's the same thing.
That was a good idea, except they never got the spaceship.
That only works if there's a spaceship.
It only works when you have it.
It only works if there's no spaceship.
And if you commit suicide before the spaceship comes, I'm sorry, right, but you are out of luck.
It'd have been funny if the spaceship showed up after they were all dead. Now that would have been.
Lands in San Diego and he says, "Where are the guys? Who do you mean? You know, the ones who wanted to ride.
Dead.
They're dead. Oh, wow.
No.
I didn't expect that.
Take off for another planet.
Let me know when the next load's ready.
Yeah, we got a pickup to make on Mars. We'll see you later.
Yeah, where are they?
Yeah. We're burying the last one. Oh, man. But, I mean, somebody there has to be somebody who's going to stand up at some point, doesn't there, and say, listen, we got to fix this. And they're not going to be nuts like Trump or fascist like DeSantis, but they're going to be normal or somewhat normal.
Well, they also have to survive the attacks that are going to come from the crazy side and the cult side. The level of attacks. George Soros will be worked into the situation. If I announce my candidacy, someone would say that George Soros put me up to it. And, if he's got all these millions, I will take $1 million from George Soros. I don't know where he is today. I don't know what he wants for his $1 million. Perhaps making a fool's bargain. But if he's got $1 million to spare.
If he wants to lay $1 million on me too, listen, I'll put right here, bought by George Soros. I have no,
Now operating under the Soros mandate. What's that? He gave me $1 million.
Mikey and Vinnie, brought to you by George Soros.
There you go.
And consequently, if the Koch brothers want to chip in $1 million, maybe we won't espouse their ideas, but we would
Yeah.
definitely give them billing on the show.
I don't want to piss off the Koch brothers, but at the same time, I do.
It's Mikey and Vinnie, brought to you by the Koch brothers. Don't forget to, don't forget to not play with your Coke.
Even if they don't sponsor the show, we could say they do, and thereby join the great American lie. It's got to be a
No,
big
I'm not
lie.
going to say that they do anything unless I'm well paid for it. I'm not going to really even mention their names
We've already
outside of some kind of news
they got all the
story.
free mentions they're going to get. We've said Koch brothers a couple times. No more.
Yeah, unless they send a check and support my efforts to clean up America. But I don't know, Michael. How do you clean up America? I mean, you got, you know, you, I mean, you have a Congress that allows a guy like George Santos to not only exist but to thrive
And to vote.
and to vote.
His vote is making a difference in Congress this week, and that's got to stop.
If and maybe you say to yourself, well, if the Republicans didn't need his vote, but it's ridiculous that this guy hasn't been. I mean, now he's okay. Today he's finally they've come. I mean, this is a guy that was working at a brokerage house in one state and taking unemployment in another.
I'd like to know where he got the 700 grand. $700,000 came from someplace and went into an account, and it's been seen. How we can't find out the origin of that, unless, of course, the Koch brothers or George Soros are responsible for it. But the fact is, somebody gave him a lot of money, and he had never acted in a responsible way that you would say, yeah, I can understand. He was a great entrepreneur, great ideas. Not George Santos. No, he was not a brain. Now he got elected by the skin of his teeth by who knows how. He took a seat from a Democrat. That's the part that they can't figure
Well,
out.
right, and it's easy to figure out. You have people in this country that would vote for Adolf Hitler if he
Führer,
was running on the Republican ticket.
and some people believe he is.
I mean, it really comes down to it. When you question these politicians about if Donald Trump gets the nomination, are you going to vote for him? They dance around it, they pussyfoot it, but in the end,
They will.
uh, not many stand up and say, no, I believe that this country is more important than a guy who, when he was president and trusted with the presidency, decided not to defend the Constitution.
I think that also the Republicans that are doubting Donald Trump now are only touting. In reality, what they're doing is touting their own candidacy. They're saying, I think between now and election day, Trump's going to be out of business. A couple more of these convictions, he can't be a viable candidate. Hey, guess who's on the ticket? It's Asa Hutchinson. I'll be damned. Here he comes, and he always hated Donald Trump. He always saw
Yeah.
between the lines. He always saw that this was something that we were going to have to change. It's
How
going to.
could you be? How could you be a woman today, even if yesterday you said, "Well, I haven't proven anything really"? How could you be a woman today and vote for Donald Trump or endorse his candidacy or in any shape, manner, or form say that you would encourage not only yourself but somebody to vote for it? I mean, have you no dignity? Have you
Well,
no?
Donald Trump said that he could kill somebody on Fifth Avenue, and his people would love him for it.
Oh, he's
And
right,
that might be true, but can he be a sexual predator and have them love him all the same?
Mikey. I think there's a group of people that are so afraid that they are coming for them, for their job, for their house, for
Their gun for their
their
gun.
guns, their whatevers, Look, we've already established in this country that guns are more important than children's lives.
Far more important.
I mean, that's clear. The Second Amendment is much more important than the blood of children. We saw it again this weekend that a child covered in blood means nothing
Nothing can be done.
compared to the Second Amendment. The only thing that we can do that will fix this problem is pray.
And think. Don't forget about the thoughts.
Yes.
You
No,
can
we
have
didn't even hear thoughts. We just said pray. The one guy from got up there and just said, well, he said prayer 1,500 times in 2 minutes.
yeah.
Pray. We got to pray.
It
Well, you
might have
know
been
what,
his line of
Ace?
work.
Prayer ain't working for you. Tell that kid who's got no parents anymore because their bodies were ripped apart by AR-15 fire. Tell them that the kid's got to pray. Tell that kid he's got to pray.
That kid actually has to pray more than we do because of the life that he's just inherited. Yeah. That's the way the little baby Jesus wanted it. Well, I've thought about it, I prayed about it, and I figured that there's nothing that can be done, Vinny. And that's the best I can do for him.
Tell that damn kid that his he's I mean he doesn't probably know what the hell is going on now. He's 3 years old, but tell him that he's got a he's when he's 15 years old or 10 years old, and he says, "Where are my parents, my sister?" And they said, "Well, listen,
Second
that shooting
Amendment.
we had last week. Well, your parents are involved in that
Yeah.
10 years ago, and we still haven't done anything."
We don't intend to do anything. What I can tell you is there's going to be another shooting today at 2 o'clock. If you want to head out to the outlet mall, I'll give you a ride.
Because the Second Amendment is much more important than any kid's life in this country.
The Second Amendment protects a future that only includes an increasing number of social murders where people just flip out for whatever reason. It's a girlfriend, it's a job situation, it's a school situation, it's a individual unable to cope with the pressures of life. And as I've said so many times in the last 2 shows, there's nothing we can do to stop them. We encourage them to get a gun and to do something about it themselves, and then we will respond, but only in order. If your shooting is scheduled opposite another shooting, whoever has the most bodies gets the response. So don't screw up and like kill 5 people and expect to get it on television if someone across town has killed 10. We told you to schedule these things, and we mean it in terms of media coverage. We can only be one place at a time.
Well, and even more interesting is I mean it really must show you how bad things are in other countries when we have 200,000 people lined up at the border to get into this country. 200,000 people are willing to go to that shopping mall and walk around and get shot because
Or
that life is better.
or stand at a bus stop in El Paso and have a crazy person in a Range Rover run over 18 of you.
Yeah, Brownsville, but yeah, the other, yeah, same difference. Yeah, I mean that's how that's how bad it must be in other countries. That you're willing to accept that. You're willing to take that chance.
The odds are with me. There's millions of them in there. What are the chances of them shooting me? Not very good. What are the chances of me being run down in a Texas town? Well, the chances went up, but still, if you got your head on a swivel and you're still spry enough to get out of the way, I'd say your chances are good to get away from that Range Rover.
Yeah, leave the old people at home because they can't move as fast.
Tell them, watch out for the cars. Don't be sitting there at a bus station. Don't be vulnerable.
And then, even if you make it, even if you say, okay, I'm here, and you get a bus ticket or a plane ticket or some kind of ticket, you get out of Texas and you get to wherever you're going to go, you're going to face people that are going to look at the color of your skin and everything that they've been told by the Republican Party or the haters,
And why is hate built into everything, Vinny? It's just built right in. It's just
and
mixed right
say, well,
in.
we can't hire you. We're not going to hire you. We're not going to, or and they won't say it. They say, well, we'll hire you, but we'll only give you $6 an hour.
In fact, if you have a 12-year-old at home, we're hiring children. And the Republicans are big on this right now, child labor, and
Right.
we'll pay him $5 an hour. So
We
when
need
can you
some
have your
kids
kids
down
here?
at the packing plant.
Yeah,
So you bring your two kids down there right after school, and they can put in 12 hours, to 3 o'clock in the afternoon till 3 o'clock in the morning, still gives them 4 or 5 hours to sleep.
plenty of time, and do your homework.
Yeah. Really, how many kids need more than that to sleep?
They have so much energy, Vinny. It's silly to let it go to waste when the meatpacking industry can make use of it.
And Sarah Goofball Sanders down there, she says, oh, that's a great idea. Let's do that.
Well, she's got 12 kids, so it seems normal for them. They're going to put them all in the factory.
Does that
It's a
woman have
Bible,
12
but it's a
kids?
Bible factory, Vinny. So they're doing the Lord's work.
Well, that's where the prayers are going. It's Mikey,
Where do the thoughts go? If that's where the prayers go, where do the damn thoughts end up?
yeah, see, that's the thing I can't. I mean, I know where the prayers go, but the thoughts is something I can't get out of my head. Where do the thoughts go? I never thought I would say this, but there are times when brainwashing actually feels like it would be a good thing.
Well, there are a number of brains in America right now, there's up to 30% of them that need a good scrubbing. They don't just need a wash or wash, if you prefer that word. You don't just have to wash them. You've got to get them clean. And that takes some scrubbing, especially with the kind of minds that we're dealing with now in America.
You don't think it's just earwax, huh?
I think George Santos, for starters, has more wrong with him than just earwax. Um,
Yeah, I
how
would agree
many
with you.
how
That
many
guy's
chairmen of committees all over the House of Representatives that have serious mental problems and are willing to just put them on display for television, thinking it's kind of cute that they've come up with an idea to slow down the economy to such an extent that we damage the economic future of the nation and all those who live within it.
yeah, we're willing to. Yeah, we have some people who are actually willing to just throw the whole country into
Tailspin.
default,
Yeah.
into losing its faith and credit, into saying, well, my check isn't going to stop, so what do I care?
I'm all right, Jack.
Yeah, my medical insurance is going to continue because I'm a member of Congress.
Is Jim Jordan a member of Congress, or is he something special now? Has he become his own life form?
I don't know what he is. I'm shocked.
I wonder if George Santos could, that last $700,000 that he's got, Jim Jordan could use that. He'll
Yeah,
give it to Donald Trump to pay off
Eugene
Eugene
Carroll.
Carroll. I just got this morning. The time in the trial where they showed Trump the picture, it's him, Eugene Carroll, her husband laughing, and Marla Maples. The four of them are in the picture.
Yeah,
And the reason Donald Trump can't tell Marla Maples from Eugene Carroll is because his head is in the picture, and he can't take his eyes off himself. He's not looking at the two girls. He's not looking at the guy. He's not looking at anything. He's staring at himself, and he cannot take his eyes off the star that he has become. And that's why when they miss him, what about the woman here? What about the woman there? He gets them mixed up. He thinks one's the other. He's not looking at them. He's looking at himself.
he's looking at
Because
himself. Yeah,
it's a picture of Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is besmirched. He's smitten. He's in a whirl of his own creation, just gazing at his own visage, and he's happy there. It's a good place. Donald Trump likes it there. So don't mess it up by asking me questions about who else is in the picture. There's nobody else in the picture. It's just me. I'm a
Me and my
star.
big head.
Yeah.
Boy, what a sad commentary. But, Michael, but there is good news.
What's the news?
Tucker Carlson is coming to Twitter.
Oh,
Tucker Carlson has watched the Mikey and Vinnie show and said that's the way to go.
he says, I've seen just about enough of those guys.
Social media is the way to go, where I can spew hate and disinformation and anything I want all day long.
No fact checkers, but he's going to have to come up with his own material. He's going to need a writer during a writer's strike. Good luck getting that done.
Well, he's going to hire news writers, aren't we? Well, he's not going to. I mean, he's probably originated a show out of Bimini, where
Now, live from the beach, it's Tucker Carlson with
yeah,
Bimini Talk.
With Bimini talk. Oh, I saw the ghost of Adam Clayton Powell down here.
And he had a nice boat for a
He had a
ghost.
big boat.
Nice cigarette boat.
And then a little after that, Billy Saul Estes was walking around.
Is he still okay? Is he okay, Billy Saul? I'm worried about him.
I was trying to get a hold of Lyndon Johnson to ask him, but Lyndon wasn't talking.
He was a character who had just enough Texas sleaze to be able to carry the name Billy Saul Estes with pride. Not everybody can take that name downtown and get away with it. Gary Dan, meet Billy Saul. Billy Saul, meet Pete. He's just Pete. He's both his names is Pete.
Pete. So many. Yeah, just in case you were thinking scandals were new, go look it up.
And he did his best to be scandalous. Billy Saul did.
Just look up Billy Saul Estes in Paco, Texas. Pecos, Texas.
We knew he was trouble when he come to town. We could
you'll
see
find
he was
out
trouble.
all you need to know. Why are they on an FM road? Because AM is going out of business.
They're giving them away. Their AM stations are turning off their transmitters and relinquishing their license.
Here, take it. Take it.
Yeah.
Sell the building.
I couldn't do anything with it. Why don't you give it a shot? What did you try? Syndicated talk, then syndicated music of your life, and then that was it. What about news? You could have gone news in your community. Nah, you got to hire people. You got to hire. I figured out that was a really good format. It tested well, but you had to hire news people. So there's the weakness in the scheme right there.
Yeah. Although now with this artificial intelligence, do you really have to hire news people anymore? Just have to hire one person to
program the robots?
Program the programmer.
Something is going to have to say something when the sounder finishes playing at the top of the hour. Now, what's it going to be? Is it going to be the machine saying, "Hello, I am a machine. I haven't got the news yet. The guy who programmed me didn't come to work today, so I'm just going to talk on my own. Hi, I'm the machine." He's got to
program you from home, and I'm not letting him. If I got to be here, you got to be here. And now some more music of your life.
Even though I'm artificial.
Here's my version of New York, New York from Frank Sinatra. Oh, man. I tell you, Michael, it's who was it that sang "It's a Crazy Mixed Up World"? Is that John? Was it John Prine or?
That I don't recall.
Crazy Mixed Up World, boy. No, I think it was an alternative artist, and I can't remember who off the top of my head. All right, before we go, there is one thing I do want to bring up, and get your thoughts on. The Democrats in Florida look like they're going to take a page from their neighbors from the north. And they are saying that they are approaching either Dwayne Wade or Grant Hill to run for Senate
Ooh.
in the state of Florida. They figure if an idiot could almost get elected in Georgia, an actual person with intelligence and a college degree, and it can actually speak English.
Grant Hill or
Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade from the Heat. Yeah.
Yeah. One has a degree from North Carolina. One has a degree from Marquette.
Well, of the two, I think Dwayne Wade probably resonates more with the youth vote and the minority vote. And he's already angry with Florida because they've taken on laws. He has a trans daughter, and he has made it very plain that they're leaving their place in Florida and moving because of the way the state of Florida intends to treat his children as they enter school and the workforce and the rest of their life in Florida.
Yeah.
And he's
I
not
think
going
it's
for
a
that.
fascinating idea. I think it's about time that the Democrats did start to take that page out of the Republican playbook. And again, if you could get an idiot almost elected in Herschel Walker, who, again, not because of his race or not because of he's just an idiot.
It's
He's been hit in the
amazing.
head one too many times.
It's amazing that he ever played football that well because his instincts for politics were all wrong. And his instincts for football couldn't have been that bad, or he would have never survived this long.
Well, and I truly believe, and maybe I'm wrong, because I don't know that Herschel Walker is a horrible guy. I mean, I think that he's had certainly some some difficulties in his life.
Like
But
running
I
for the
look at a
Senate.
guy like that and I say, when this guy dies and they slice his brain open, I mean, they're going to find CTE all over the place in this guy.
Gonna look like bologna or head cheese.
This guy is your perfect example of changing the game of football
And deciding which
because
kind of monster he wants to be. He did decide on vampire, if I'm not mistaken. Or
yeah,
was it a wolf?
I think
Was it a
he
wolf man?
vampire.
Yeah, right.
I mean, because just some of the stuff that he did in the settings that he did it in just didn't make sense. You can't believe that somebody who was running for Senate was running for a high office like that would be that out of touch with
Well, what about the people
people.
who put him up for office, who knew about his background, who knew he had baggage, who knew he was not very smart, who knew that he was a difficult person to get excited about with his public speaking? All the elements of the campaign, and with all the baggage that came with it, were completely dismissed by the Republican Party in Georgia. They said, it's just Herschel. They're going to love him.
Yeah, and they figured if Tommy Tuberville could win in I don't know, Alabama, where
and
is he?
Tommy can't sign his name. We know that.
Tommy can't tell you the three branches of government.
He doesn't want to tell you
Or should I
about
say government?
Government.
Government. He can't tell you the three branches of government.
There's this branch, there's your branch, and then there's that branch over there.
And over there, I like because the guys wear the robes. Oh, not those kind of robes. Oh,
No.
excuse me.
Why don't they wear the white robes? Why are they wearing black? They're so gloomy. Down home, we wear white.
Yeah, down home, we wear white. I got one in my closet.
And it fits.
Got a hood and everything.
Yeah.
In case it gets cold.
There's this lady makes them for all of them.
Sometimes them Alabama nights, they get cold.
For all the good old boys. There's this lady down home who makes them. She gets your size. She cuts it just so you're going to look great in your robe.
Yep. Betsy Moss, we call her.
She's reliable. She's a worker. She's a worker.
She done wonder with some white material and a needle and thread.
We choose white. We choose white because it's symbolic. Symbolic of what? Just white. It is white. It is what it says it is. It is what we are. We're white. And that's why we wear white robes.
It is what we tell you it is. So I think it's a good idea for the Florida Democrats. I mean, they got to do something.
I had an idea for George Santos. He's not going to be able to work here. He's going to have to leave the country, and I think he should jump bail and just do it so his stock is hot where he lands. And my idea is he joins the morning team at Good Morning Shpolpakia. It's a great national show. He's got a gift of gab. He can tell them whatever they want. He can say he's been there and he's done that, even if he hasn't been there or done that.
The problem is with George Santos is he appears to me, and maybe I'm wrong here, I don't know the guy personally, but he appears to be somewhat of a narcissist.
Well, he's going to team well with Ursula of Good Morning Shpolpakia. They love her, and she can bring him along. I think it's his hidden talent, and he's never going to get the nod to do the Today Show with Savannah Guthrie. They're just never going to give it to him.
Yeah, but how long does Al Roker have? I mean, you could slip George Santos into the Al Roker. I mean, he probably has a degree in meteorology.
But that's why he has the job. See, George Santos doesn't have a degree in anything. He'll tell you that.
He'll tell you, and maybe they'll check it out, or maybe they'll just pair him up and make a hell of a morning show. Matt Lauer and George Santos.
Good morning, Shpolpakia.
Good morning, world. Wait, who was it? Ronnie Shell and was it Dick Shawn?
Oh God.
Good morning. It was a show in the mid-'60s about two morning show DJs.
I remember the morning show, the unnamed morning show that was opposite us in a certain Seattle town where every day was good morning.
Good morning, Larry.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's boarding time. You're up and you're not.
Are you here every morning? Yeah, we're here every good morning.
Every good morning, it's a good morning. Let's
a good day
get the Husky
alive.
report. How are the Huskies doing this morning? Oh, they're doing fine.
Oh, they're fine. They're always fine. But they lost. Yeah, but that was because the other team hated us.
Because the referees didn't like them.
And where are they practicing today? It's a secret place in Washington. I can't tell you where they practice. They have secret plays and secret.
You don't understand because why? You're not from here.
That's why. If you were from here, you would never ask where are they practicing. That's a secret.
You never asked that question.
I went to the stadium. My first 2 weeks there, I show up. Don James is having a football practice. Great, let's go watch the practice. I walk in the stadium, and here comes the coach running across the field. I don't know who saw me first, but they knew I didn't belong there. You can't come to the practice. What? No, Miss Coach James. No one gets to come to the practice. I go, oh, well, that's different. Well, good morning.
Well, where is Coach James?
He's up in that tower. He sees everything. He saw you come in the back gate. That's why we're going now.
He said, "Don't tell that guy good morning."
Don't get him started with that good morning stuff. You'll never get him out of here.
This was such a weird place, man, when we got here. It's definitely different than it was then, man.
Yeah, things have changed a lot. It was really provincial to a terrible fault. I remember when I got to town, the editor of the Post Intelligencer was from out of town too, and he said, "Oh God, you're going to have quite a first year." And he had already experienced the idea of guys coming up to him and said, "Hey, where are you from?" just pick you out of a crowd and say, "That guy ain't local. Where are you from?"
You see, that's the great thing. That was the one advantage I had, Michael,
They knew where you were
where I
from.
was from. So it took that line right out of it, right at, they couldn't go where you're from because, if you don't know, I mean, I did get asked many times, are you from New York?
That's different. Yeah. Yeah. No. No.
No, I grew up in Pull Y'all Up. Uh,
I just wanted to say I was from New York.
yeah. Are you from New York? That was the one. I mean, that was the one that always made me stop and go,
What are we dealing with here?
What's
What are we really dealing with here?
what are you missing? What am I missing? What are we all missing? We're missing something. Something's not right.
Too many guys named Ban, too many guys named Sven. That's one of the problems that we don't have anymore. I
Right.
remember the joke I was told about 4th of July in Seattle is the Swedes take the firecrackers and throw them across the street, and the Norwegians pick them up and light them and throw them back. I said, "Oh, is that a local joke?" I'm not quite certain who comes out looking better on that one, but
I'm sure that you could find that joke worked about any two ethnic groups.
Yeah, any two.
So, but you know what? The problem was it was true. The thing about the seatbelt hanging out of the car. I saw that more here than I'd ever seen before. With the old guy driving down the street with the blinker going and the seatbelt. Almost Live. Remember that show, Almost Live, that was on here they really nailed it. I mean, they nailed Seattle. They had it. It was funny. I used to watch Almost Live. It was actually on in San Francisco. It was on after Saturday Night Live. Here it was on before, but there it was on. This is the only place where they used to delay Saturday Night Live and Monday Night Football.
And Monday Night Football. The only two.
The only two places. And they really, I mean, Keister and Cashman and all those guys that were on that show, they had the high-fiving white guys from Kent, and they had the Ballard. I mean, they just nailed it, man. They just had the characters here down. All you needed to do. And when I remember, I used to watch that show before I thought of moving to Seattle, and I used to say, boy, they can't be people really like that. And when I got up here, it was like, holy moly.
Look at all the white guys.
You're not from here, are you?
Not yet. No.
Not yet. I am now. Oh, man. Oh, Mikey. All right. Well, listen. We've done enough damage for a
Wacky Wednesday. Let's try a Fractured Friday.
We've bothered enough people. The Mariners won last night. What did the Giants do yesterday to lose?
They won 4-1.
They won?
Yeah, with Casey Schmidt hitting a home run.
Mets lost to the Reds. Buck Showalter got thrown out of the game.
Well, he was angry.
Hard for a manager to get thrown out of a game these days.
You say the right things in the right tone of voice, it'll happen to you.
Yeah, but it's not easy these days. I mean, what? Bobby Valentine got thrown out of the game, 12 times in one season? Buck yesterday was his first time as Mets manager.
A good manager will do it, can do it, I should say, and save time by getting thrown out while you're still in the dugout. Keep up the banter. And when they tell you no, keep up the banter. And then as the pitching starts again, keep it up. You'll get your walking papers, and you don't have to go and kick dirt on home plate. You don't have to go anywhere. You can do it from relaxation.
Why you go up those 3 steps?
And all the way to home plate, it can be 20, 30 steps.
Or Buck had to go all the way out to shortstop to get. I mean, he was out there at the shortstop position.
Now, Lou Piniella would take the extra step. He would go to second base, take the base out, and jam dirt into the plug.
Right. Lou had a special method of he had a pre-ejection and a post-ejection sequence.
And it took time, and it was a good show, and everyone enjoyed it.
And he would visit different bases. As he, before he was thrown out, he'd go to the spot of the dispute. And then after he was thrown out, he would stop at second, pick it up, and, kick some dirt. And he would go down to first base, and he would pick it up, and he would kick some dirt.
Somebody's going to have to put these bases back. Here comes the ground crew. And don't put the second base back as he's working on first base. Let second base lie there for a while. Then, after he's picked up first base and thrown it, then you can put the second base back.
I'll never forget the time. I think we were in Cleveland. It was the playoffs, and we were in Cleveland. And Mike Cameron is on first base. I think it was a Sunday afternoon playoff game. And all of a sudden, here comes Lou out of the dugout.
Wow.
And he walks over to Cameron on first base. And he says something to him. And then turns around and walks back.
Didn't call timeout. I don't need timeout.
Just walked out there. No, I think he did call time when he came out and he walked out to first base. And he said something to Cameron. To this day, nobody really knows what he said to Cameron because Cameron was never told anybody. The story was they talked about stock tips.
No.
But Lou was just looking at Dickwit. I think it was Hargrove, who was the manager of the Indians at the time. And he was just looking at Dick with him. So he did something that, and it was a great move because the Mariners actually came back and won that game. And they went on to win that series.
And Cleveland started getting worried as soon as Lou went back to the dugout. What did he say? What did he do?
Everybody in the whole freaking press box and ballpark is what
Don't take your eye off Mike Cameron. I want to know everything he does the rest of the game. You understand me?
He got the PR guy calling down to the dugout. He's asking, what did he say? What did he say?
I can't tell you. I can't. We're not talking about that.
We're not talking about it. It's the first time I can ever remember a manager visiting a player at first base. I mean, if you're going to say something to him, you got the first base coach there.
Right.
Who I think at the time was Sam Mejias, if I'm not mistaken.
And the thing is, you walk out, and what do you have? You have to say something to him, especially if it's a ruse. You just say, "You look at me, Cameron," and shake your head. Now look down. Don't ever speak about this to anybody. You understand? Yeah. Not a word.
Knowing Lou, he probably said, "Look at the chippy up in the third row in section 118."
Not a word.
Now shut your mouth and let's play. Walk back to the dugout.
If we don't win, it's your fault, Cameron.
Man, I miss Lou. Lou was a fun guy to watch, man. He kept you went to a ball game to watch him sometimes. If there was nothing else going on,
I remember once he took a dislike to a guy in spring training. I think it was Soto, who's an infielder, because he did not hustle one time to first base. And that was it.
Yeah.
Lou drew the line. I don't know who you are, kid, but if that's how you go to first base, you're not going to be on the team that I have anything to do with.
Yeah, and if you crossed Lou, that was it. You were meat. You might as well. Yeah. You might as well ask to trade, for get out of there, not show up, get on the disabled list. I remember something happened between him and Jeff Cirillo, and they traded a lot for Jeff Cirillo. He was, I think, the NL batting champion at the time. And they brought him over, and Lou just perceived him as a guy who just didn't hustle, man. Just didn't. And he was on Lou's crap list and stayed there the entire time he was here, man.
You know what? If you were a player that didn't hustle, gifted, talented player that didn't hustle, you'd be on my list too. Because no matter what sport it is, all I can count on you is not to hustle.
Yeah.
And that means in basketball, you're not going to get a rebound. You're not going to get free throws. In baseball, you're not going to run to first when the shortstop drops the ball.
Right.
You in your head, you're already not hustling before you don't hustle.
And Lou hated those kinds of people. He just hated them
Yeah.
with a passion. I mean, it was, I mean, it was a real dislike. I mean, it was, he just knew people that weren't hustling. I mean, I mean, we had a conversation about it one day, and he even said to me, he said, "You know why I like you, Vinny?" In the loose speak, said, "I always see you here first thing in the afternoon with the tape recorder. You're talking to guys. You're asking questions. That's why I like you, Vinny." And he told me, as he said in spring training, he says, "I know you don't like the Yankees."
But I get a lot of that. I can live with that.
Yeah. One of my greatest moments in life was walking down 42nd Street with Lou Piniella.
Wow.
Just talking to Lou and walking and seeing
The street react.
the, yeah, just people react on the street. It's like he lived there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an amazing thing. Everybody walked up to him and just, shook his hand or hey Lou or this or that. I mean, and we walked. It's so funny. I was standing in front of the hotel and he comes out. He goes, "Come on, Vinny, walk with me. I'm going to the dry clean. We're just going down the block to the dry cleaners."
I always go to this place. They do my
He
shirts,
does.
okay?
That's his place. That's where
That's
he
his
used to go. He always
yep.
takes his stuff there. And we walked down 42nd Street toward let's see, we were on Lex. I think the dry cleaner was on like 42nd and Madison or something like that. Or
Nice
maybe
neighborhood.
between Madison and 5th.
Yeah.
And man, I mean it was I mean it was an experience to
Mabel, get
walk
Mr.
down the
Pinella
street
shirt.
with Lou.
Mr. Pinella,
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
minute. We got your shirts.
Just talking and bullshitting and like two guys just talking, but everybody, it's like boom, he's revered,
He was the
you
mayor.
know.
For that day, he was the mayor of the town, just walking down the street.
Just
And
that,
that
yeah,
and that
just
and, that, and it's fun to see New Yorkers who have seen everything see something that they haven't seen for a while.
right, exactly,
You're never
exactly.
gonna guess who I talked to him, I shook his hand and said hello. Who do you think it was? You'll never guess. Lou Piniella on 42nd Street.
And the
Big as
funnier
life.
part was coming back. He's got how you carry your dry cleaning over your shoulder with the finger. He's got it like that, and he's walking back up, and we're talking, and people are, it took us almost an hour to walk back and forth to the dry
Sure.
cleaner a block.
Of course. Of course. And don't tell me he didn't love that.
Oh, he
He
loved every
loved
minute.
it.
He really loved it. I mean,
Yeah.
he enjoyed it, man. He liked the adoration. He really did. He was yeah, he was a good guy, man. I really I miss working with him. I mean, out of all the people, I miss working with Niehaus and I miss working with Lou. Niehaus was in a different class all by himself, but Lou was straight up, man. Lou was just it was what it was.
But if he picked up second base, there was going to be dirt in that hole. It was going to take somebody with a tongue depressor to clean it
And if
out
he
before you could
liked
put that
you,
ball.
he was just a loyal guy. If you were his guy, you were, he'd go to the wall for you.
There was a fierceness about him. That's a good word. As a player, if you hit Lou Piniella, you could probably expect some sort of reaction.
Yeah, yeah. No,
You step,
he had that thing that burned inside of him, man, a
yeah.
competitiveness that I don't have it. Certainly not like he had it, but he had that thing that he was there to I wouldn't say it was like he was there to beat you, but he was there to give you his best effort.
He was there to play.
He was there to play. He showed up at the ballpark ready to manage. Ready to know what was going on in the game, ready to know what his players were doing in the clubhouse, even though he didn't go in the clubhouse, but he had his guys in the clubhouse. And they would come in and they would tell him, this guy, this, that, boom, boom, boom. And he knew who he could lean on and he knew who he had to stay away from. And He knew. It was funny. It feels like, geez, it feels like we're talking about it like he's dead, but but he was, yeah, he was the best, man. I could only imagine what it must have been like to play with him, you know, on the club, to be Reggie
Who
Jackson or
who were
or
his managers? Who managed him as a player?
Billy Martin. Well, Billy was his
That's a memorable manager.
yeah, Billy was his guy. I forget who in Kansas City. Um, so it was Billy, Bob Lemon, Gene
Mm.
Michael, and Yogi, I think, for a year or
Wow,
two.
quite a lineup.
Yeah, yeah, I think Yogi, and then they made him general man. They made Lou general manager of the Yankees. So yeah, I think Stick, Bob Lemon, Yogi Berra, Billy Martin. I'm trying to think if I don't think I think Bucky was after. I think Lou hired Bucky as manager. I'd have to go back. I got my years kind of
That's
mixed
okay.
up, but
Pretty close.
I think it was pretty close to. I think he might have hired Bucky.
You can do a correction on our Freaky Friday show, which is coming up Friday at 10 past 10.
If we go any longer, we'll actually just go till Friday.
That would be wacky and freaky on the same day and fractious.
Well, Mikey, then I will say goodbye. I will see you Friday if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise. And always remember, peace, love.
And the big bottle of Manischewitz is right behind Vinnie. It's a Concord sweet wine, but what a wine.
What a wine. See you Friday, Mikey.
See ya.
Thank you all for listening too.